Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from Benu. Now Benu is a company I've wanted to review for a while, so I'm very grateful for them collaborating with me on this, sending me out a pen to review. The pen I'm looking at today is the Talisman Foxglove. This is how the pen comes packaged. Nice simple box. I like the fact that it is mostly all cardboard. It's very secure. And then you get the pen in a little paper cardboard sleeve here. You get a long international cartridge, which is great. And on top of a bed of shredded paper, you just get the information and warranty guide. So all very handy, particularly if you are a new fountain pen user. Good stuff to have. Open up that little paper tray or sleeve, and then you get the pen. And this is, as I said, the Talisman, which is the model, and it is the Foxglove finish or material. Beautiful sort of orange black with these lovely sort of shimmery, glittery sections in it. So we'll do all the usual things, talk about the pen, writing samples, all that kind of stuff, pros and cons. Let's start at the top of the pen. So you get this sort of rounded top section there, and then a line where the cap is inserted. The little like aesthetic glitch would be great if some of that like lined up properly with the material. Then you get this cap that kind of swells out, a little band there around the middle, plastic band that says Benu there on the cap, and then the body tapers down to a flat end with beveled edges. The pen is faceted in a really interesting way. So you've got these sort of flat sections that sort of alternate down the body and cap of the pen, which is really unique. It's nice. It's not just sort of straight facets and it's not smooth. It's got a bit of a mix of the two, and I think that's really quite cool. The clip is, you can see it's very deep set into the cap there, and it's flexible enough. Certainly usable, but my only concern with this will be putting it over a thick, material or leather case might just sort of stretch that to its capacity. The cap unscrews and it's in like 2.5 turns, which isn't too bad, and it reveals, a pretty nice section there actually. Like it's narrow and it's sort of not particularly. It doesn't have a particular shape about it, but it's nice. The threads are very smooth and they're kind of blocky, and the step down isn't so noticeable. And because you do have a decent sort of length section, it never really gets in the way there. The pen comes with a number 6 steel Schmidt nib. I got it with a medium, and you can also get it in fine. It comes in fine, medium, and broad. So a nice little range of nibs available. You unscrew the body of the pen and you get a Schmidt International cartridge or converter system. So it's got a Schmidt converter here, which is really solid. It is a resin pen, so the potential is there to be able to eyedropper this. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure someone has. On the Benu website, they go into a lot of information about like the charms and myths and stuff with the Foxglove. You can read, they've got a great article about all of that, which you can read. But what I found particularly interesting is that the Foxglove, of course, is a flower. And in this pen, in the resin, they have infused dried foxglove petals into the material, which is kind of neat. Here it is alongside the very standard Lamy Safari. It's just slightly shorter, not even really noticeably shorter, but it's definitely got a little bit more girth to the body there. Uncapped, you see it has a really good writing length. It's a very comfortable pen in the hand. I think Benu have done an interesting thing with this pen. A lot of their pens in the past have had unique shapes and sizes and dimensions, and I think the Talisman model is probably closer to a sort of a an everyday writing sort of dimension. And then posted, you see it's still got a pretty decent length on it. It's a good sized pen, very comparable to a Lamy Safari. So if you're used to a Lamy Safari, I think you'll be able to understand the dimensions of this pen pretty well. So what are the specific dimensions here for the Benu Talisman? Well, it's 138 millimeters when it is capped, so a good sort of standard length. Uncapped, it's 130 millimeters, which puts it in a very nice, sort of size in the hand. It's a good length back into your hand there, that it's not going to be, I think, too small for, just about anybody. And then posted, it's 165. The pen does post. It's a bit sort of like, for me, that's a little long to use, but also that step down off the clip there, the cap there, sorry, is quite pronounced, and you will feel that against the webbing of your hand. And like, while it does post, it's not like the strongest posting pen, so you could probably actually work that free writing with it. The grip section goes from about 9 to 10 to about just under 12, maybe around 11 millimeters. So it's not a huge section, but it is certainly, a usable width. The pen weighs about 21 grams, 13 and 8. So when you do post it, you do put, a decent amount of the pen's weight onto the back of the pen there, and with it being quite long, that's where the balance does tend to sit in a lightweight resin pen. Let's do a writing sample now. On Clairefontaine 90 gram paper, we have the Benu. Benu Talisman Foxglove. This is a steel Schmidt medium nib, and the ink I'm using today is Diamine. Ancient Copper. Now, I've had this ink in this pen for a couple of weeks, and used a decent amount of it. I haven't noticed, I chose this ink because with a few resin pens I've used recently, the cap seal, while being, good, hasn't necessarily stopped the pen from drying out a little bit. And Ancient Copper is one of those inks that will crud up a little bit in the nib if it is left in a cap that doesn't have a great seal, and this has never had an issue with that. And it's also started every time I've gone to write with it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see the pen write. Okay, so typical of a Schmidt nib, it's completely serviceable. It absolutely does the job. Schmidt don't make the most interesting nibs. Then again, are Jovo or Bock nibs any different in that respect? Who knows? But what the Schmidt nibs do is they are fairly consistent. Now, I find this to be a fairly fine medium, and I'm okay with that. It is not a dry nib. It's putting down a lovely amount of ink. That simple plastic feed and nib system is doing a very good job. Quick writing. You can see there's absolutely no issue there whatsoever. That was a nib alignment issue, not the pen. So it's not I should do these other things that everyone enjoys. Reverse writing. Scratchy, but you could get a few words out. It is a stiff nib. All you're doing is letting more ink down. The tines are not really opening up. So while you can get like a tiny bit of line variation, it's not soft or a flex nib at all. Okay. So as you can see, it writes well, it writes consistently. What more could you possibly want? Let's talk pros and cons now for the Benu Talisman, starting with the cons. The only con I have, really, is the fact that this section just feels a little bit slim, because I think there's a lot of girth in the body. You get those gradual sort of step downs through the, off the barrel onto the screws and the threads, and then it just feels like it's a little narrow, and I find my fingers ending up going down towards the nib. It actually ends up with my fingers on the nib occasionally, as you can see from the ink on my fingers there. And if I hold it further back, I'm holding it on the screws and that step down, which, while they're not sharp, you do feel them. So that's my only really, con with this pen. We'll talk about the price now. I found it at an Australian retailer for 175 Australian dollars, but the general price is US around 120. So it's not a super cheap acrylic, resin pen, but it does some interesting things. It's got interesting body to it. It's got interesting material. I think that you pay a lot more for a lot less from other brands. The pros for this pen, I love this faceted design. I love that they alternate, that not just like straight down the pen. I think that's really cool, and it's a nice little tactile thing, and I find myself sort of like just, like running my fingers down those facets, which is nice. I like the material. I like these sort of hits of the shimmery material. It kind of feels like, flames or something, and it's all very, it's a very attractive material indeed. And with that, I want to say also that the tolerances and the QC are really great. As I said, that cap fit is really very good. The clip, everything. The only issue I have, as I said, is that like it's a very pronounced line around the cap where the clip has been put in. But apart from that, I think the tolerances and the QC on this pen are absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoy the size of the pen. It's a nice size in your hand. Because it's not super heavy, you don't get fatigue, all that kind of stuff. I said I probably wouldn't post it, simply because I find that rubs on my hand a lot. That's quite a substantial step off the cap there. But it's a really nice size. It's a solid, good everyday writing size, and I'm enjoying that from Benu after seeing a number of their other models that had more unique dimensions. And then lastly, the nib is completely, it wrote perfectly well out of the box. It's smooth, it's reliable, it's fairly wet. It does everything it needs to do. It's super reliable. Schmidt have been doing this, and I think Benu must do some QC on the nibs as well, because that is a lovely little nib to be writing with. So I hope you found this video about the Benu Talisman Foxglove fountain pen interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here or drop me an email, which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review, like Benu did here with this beautiful Talisman Foxglove fountain pen, I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.